What's up, man?
Not much, man. Not much at all. Not much at all. It is the eve of the new year, as they say, and it's just been it's that weird little time between Christmas and New Year where it kind of like there's stuff going on but not, and you have all the family obligations and everything, and it's a little weird, but it's been nice. It's been kind of a little chill and kind of it's been good to kind of relax a little bit, those times here and there. So it's been nice. How about you?
Just a little bit of family stuff, not too much, and then a lot of just hanging out, I guess. Some kid time, some not kid time. I was gonna make plans for today, but then I kind of want to get this episode out before, or as much of it out before the New Year if possible, or even on the day of the New Year. So, I kind of just canceled my plans for today and just like, let me just shoot a bunch of stuff and see if I can get through a couple of reviews and some writing and whatever. Because
that's the other thing. I've been trying to catch up. I've got just a backlog of reviews that I've been trying to finally catch up on a couple at a time. So that's been good. And like I said, my in-laws were over here. They brought pecan rolls, which were yummy, and they wish us Happy New Year. And my oldest is coming over tonight because we never watched Die Hard before Christmas, and he really wants to watch. It's a tradition with us. He wants to watch Die Hard, so we got to do it tonight. And it's like, all right, let's do that.
I might reconfigure my setup just to I'll co-watch Die Hard at the same time.
There you go. Yeah. We can do like a simulcast. It's like No, man.
Maybe that should be the thing we do next year.
That would be great. Let's do like a
watch Die Hard together.
Right, and do like a little simulcast. Yeah, right, that'd be hysterical. Look, it's Hans and his boys coming into the building. Oh, that's the guy at the front. He gets it through the head. Oh, God.
So for Christmas movies then, like do you have a top 5 as far as Christmas movies? Or
Christmas movies? I mean,
Die Hard 1.
Die Hard 1, the original is always on the list for sure.
Yeah. Is 2 on there?
For me it is, because it happens during Christmas, and it's not a bad sequel. I mean, it's not as good as the original, but it's not as bad. But no one else seems to care. They all want the original around here. There's the classic, Merry Christmas, Charlie Brown. That's like staple in this house. We have to watch that. Yeah. Even my oldest, who's like 23, wants to watch that, which is like,
I've seen it.
You never seen it? It's it's a.
Sorry.
It's funny. I mean, it's. I grew up with it. I've said this a bunch of times. The original Charlie Brown specials were the first place I actually ever heard jazz, because the soundtracks were all done. Were all jazz music, all composed by Vince Guaraldi, who was like famous piano player and stuff, and great, I forget the names of the individual songs, but Throw Something Into the Wind is one of them. And but I mean, when you hear them, they're in. You use this word a lot, the zeitgeist. I mean, it's in the culture, and I mean, as soon as you hear any of the music from Merry Christmas, Charlie Brown, or any of the other specials, it's like. It's ingrained in you, like you realize what it is and where it's from. But that's the first place I heard real legitimate jazz as a kid, so.
Was it actual jazz? Like, was it recorded by someone, or was it just kind of studio recording jazz?
No, Vince Guaraldi had his, either his trio or a quartet. And for each one of the original specials, they recorded they wrote and recorded all the original music, and it's all like, legit jazz, and it's great stuff. They've actually, it's funny. Who is it? The Craft Recordings. I think it was like Fantasy was the label that had the original recordings on it, but Craft Recordings has gotten permission to re-release all the original soundtracks from those old specials, and they've gone in and they've found actually the original tapes and remastered them all, and they sound fantastic. And I mean, if you put the cartoons aside and you just concentrate on the music alone, it's wonderful jazz. I mean, it's really, really nice.
All right.
But yeah, I always joke that Charlie Brown cartoons are the first places I actually experienced jazz as a kid. And Warner Brother cartoons were the first place I actually experienced classical music because like all those, all those little, the musical bits from those things were all taken from like a lot of famous classical pieces and everything. And you obviously they don't tell you as a kid. It just it's ingrained in this in the cartoon. And then as you grow older, you hear these things, you realize, oh my God, that's like Beethoven's blah, 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 or that's, Bach, or that's this, or that's that. It's like, so, but yeah, getting
I
back
guess
to...
that makes sense. I mean, the first time I heard Flight of the Bumblebee was Grover eating a rubber tire on the Muppet Show album.
Yeah, that's right. There you go. Yeah. I mean, it's funny how they just sort of weave that stuff in and kind of fed it to you as a kid. And, it just worked. But it cultured you up a little bit. So
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, what's up? What else is on your list?
Let's see. So Die Hard. So the Merry Christmas, Charlie Brown. A Christmas Carol. It's actually funny. Of all the Christmas Carol ones, there's two versions of it. Like the one with George C. Scott, which was done years ago. Just dig it. But the Muppet Christmas Carol, actually, that one's awesome. I love that. I mean, we love that. I mean, my wife is a huge Muppet fan, and actually so am I. And that's a regular. We love that. We love that totally. But there's so many versions of that story done over the years. Otherwise, Christmas-wise, the Rudolph and
Are you a
Frosty
Christmas
things.
Story guy? I'm not.
No, I hate that movie with a passion. It's vile.
Virtually. I can't stand that movie so much.
I don't know. I think people who love that movie are like psychologically troubled on some really deep level. I mean, I remember I'd never seen it before. And I mean, maybe 20 years ago, my wife and I were, just before we moved to Ohio, my wife and I were in California. It came on and she's like, oh, the Christmas Story. It's a classic. You got to watch it. It's like, okay. I watched it. It's like, ew, this is stupid. What the hell is this? And I mean, it makes no sense to me. It's no fun. It's not entertaining in the least. It's the height of dumbness. And I'm sorry for anyone who loves that movie. I'm sure there's a ton of movies I like that people think I'm deranged for liking and there's no business that I should like, no reason I should like them. But Christmas Story is like,
sorry,
to put a bullet through my head.
My ex-wife loves that movie.
Oh man!
I'm 100% clipping this one out.
Oh jeez! Oh my God! That leg lamp with that leg lamp and the thing. I just like that's. I don't know. I feel like I feel visceral pain when I see that. It's like that is the dumbest ass thing in the world.
I hate that movie so much.
Oh, I'm right there with you. I mean, I just heard some thing on a podcast where someone like broke down what the deep meaning behind that movie and all the little things, segments in it about like what they represent and what they were the screenwriters and these guys were trying to say behind it. And it's like, oh, come on. That's just so tortured. It's a dumbass movie. I don't want to watch it. No, give me Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer any day of the week. My God.
That claymation one's pretty good, right?
It is. Yeah. It's the old Rankin Bass. Sort of puppety claymation-y things. Yeah. The original ones. Those are great. They're
I would throw Bad Santa onto this list. That's a
Bad
Christmas
Santa
movie. Bad Santa? Have you seen it?
No, but it's not
Billy
the one
Bob
with
Thornton?
Billy Bob Thornton. That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
It's incredible. That's on my list.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right.
And then
I didn't see that.
Scrooge.
Thank you. Yeah, Scrooge is a good one. Okay, I'll give you that. That's a really good one. Yeah.
And then Elf is, I guess, on some people's list. I don't really. Sorry, everyone. I don't really like Will Ferrell movies.
No, me neither. I can't buy into that one either. That's a step too far for me. That's just like that starts getting into Christmas Story area for me, and I just no, won't do it.
Like, do you like his movie, like the Anchorman and stuff like that? I just kind of don't get it, but
No.
you know what? To be honest, I've never actually sat and watched Ron Burgundy, so maybe I should do that. But like, I think because so many people quote it, and like it's part of like their
thing, their shtick.
Their
yeah,
thing.
yeah. No, Will Ferrell's one of the only thing I've ever liked that I've seen Will Ferrell in that I ever liked him in was the Saturday Night Live skit where more cowbell.
Yeah,
that's brilliant. I love that. That's genius. Yeah. But that's the only thing he's ever done that I really like. Otherwise, everything else he's done is kind of like, whatever. Okay. Yeah. So, that's for me. I'm trying to think. I just actually there was there was a new movie that I guess was it on Amazon or was it Netflix? I forget. But it's like The Rock. It's like Red One.
Oh, it's not bad. My kids just love that movie. Yeah.
Yeah. I watched that on the in the home theater, and it's like, you know what? This is actually pretty fun. Him, Chris Evans. It's like, yeah, this is a nice.
Oh, sorry. The movie that I have to add to the list is the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas movie. Have you seen that one? It came out last year.
No.
And so, like, you've seen those movies, right?
Yeah. How did I miss that?
So he loves Kevin Bacon, the human. What is it? I forget his name. Star-Lord. He loves Kevin Bacon. So he's really bummed out over the Christmas holiday. So then Drax and the girl with the empath girl, the girl with the antlers on her head.
Yeah.
They get the idea to, hey, why don't we just go and kidnap Kevin Bacon from Earth and bring him as a Christmas present?
They made an actual movie of that, or it's just like a little special or something?
It's a whole movie. It's like at least an hour long. Watch it now. It's awesome.
How the hell did I miss that? I mean, I didn't even know that existed.
They have a good soundtrack where aliens are singing about Christmas, but they don't understand what it is.
I've been under a rock. How the hell did I miss that? I don't get it.
It's a great movie. So that's on my list because I've seen it now.
Oh, I have to watch that. Okay, I've
seen it now 100 times, and I've listened to the song 1,000 times. Like, it almost made my Spotify end of year playlist because it's been listened so many times.
Oh man, okay.
But it's good.
Okay.
It's a full production, and yeah. Kevin Bacon's in it.
That sounds awesome. I mean, I love the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, so I need to see that. I had no clue that even existed.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, the people of my generation will throw
feel
in.
Like you keep saying that, but I think we're already like 8 years apart.
Yeah, we are. I'm sorry, but you I don't know. I feel like an old guy compared to you. You're just young and hip, and I feel like I'm sort of old and stodgy in comparison. But
young and hip until you start talking about music, and then you start looking really old really fast. So.
Friends I know, actually, probably more like colleagues I went to college with or whatever. They would throw in that Star Wars Christmas special that was made way back in the 70s that George Lucas hates, and is it's like a cult thing now that you could find on the web or whatever, but. It was dumb. I mean, it was dumb, and there's no point in watching it. But I know a lot of people who swear by it and must watch it for
another
Christmas.
Confession of mine. I don't know if I've actually made it through any of the Star Wars movies.
Any of them, even the original 3.
So, like, I know all the references because you can't escape them.
This is why I might say I feel old in comparison to you.
So, like, I've seen them, but like, you can get like Luke, I am your father, but even though he doesn't actually say Luke, it just says I am your father.
I'm your father. Yeah.
And then like the Muppet Babies, remember that on cartoon? Like they used to reference Star Wars all the time, and every other movie has like the doors closing and they have to fly the ship through the small opening. Like it's been like all the tropes have been done.
Yeah,
but I don't know if I've made it through any of them ever.
I can't believe you haven't made it through the original one. I mean, at least the original 77.
I just like as a kid, kind of fell asleep, and then. When I realized there was none of the robots were going to transform, I was like, "Oh, I'm out." Because I grew up as a kid, like I grew up with like
these guys look like people in suits. This is not good. This is not convincing.
Well, no, because as a kid you watch cartoons, right? So then the '80s cartoons were amazing, and then we also had Robotech playing like after school. Yeah. And then in the mornings there was. Do you ever see like it was called Force 5?
Force 5, yeah. That always
so it was like
watched that morning,
Grandizer, Star Avengers, Guy King, and so I saw all that stuff. And so I was all in on big transforming robots. And then when Star Trek came, it was like, okay, everyone's old.
You mean Star Wars?
Star Wars, sorry, yeah.
Right.
So I kind of the hate's gonna come. They're kind
of you'll get the Star Wars, Star Trek geeks come in and like,
they're the same thing to me. Old people in space.
Old people in space.
but like I know that like the stuff that I like took inspiration from that, right? So I get
right,
but. Because I saw the other ones after, I was like, "Oh, I like these ones more." So
it's fine. That's fine. I loved.
That my kids won't watch them.
Oh, yeah. No, my kids wouldn't watch any of those either when they were young. I mean, I did actually get my oldest to watch sit through. You remember Star Blazers?
Yes.
I'd gotten the entire. Yeah, I'd gotten the entire series like in English. As it was broadcast, I guess, on in the U.S. on DVD years ago, and my oldest actually at the time when he was like maybe 10 or something like that, he loved it. He like watched the whole thing through with me, and he loved it. And I don't know if you ever.
I remember drawing it as a kid because it was always on, and it was awesome. But I don't remember any of it. As much.
It's amazing. I like the DVDs are available, and actually now you can even get. Blu-rays of the series originally as it was done in Japanese with English translation, and so you kind of get the story's a little different. I mean, in spots, obviously they changed a lot of elements for the U.S. Audience, but I've seen the original Japanese version and everything, and essentially plays out the same, but there's some important differences in it. But
the dialogue's more romantic too, I imagine.
No. Yeah. Well, I think the dialogue. I'm one of these people who I would, if I have a choice, I'd prefer to watch it originally in Japanese and see the trends and see the subtitling because to me, it just makes more sense and it's a more genuine experience over. A lot of times English translations or overdubbing is really bad. So G4 Battle of the Planets actually is an exception. That was actually really good for English overdubbing. But sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, like, I think Kung Fu movies were kind of the same. Weren't they, like, notoriously bad for...
I think they were notoriously
really poetic
bad.
Language of, like, by the hills of the something we will...
Yeah,
and then they're like, I'm going to kick your mom in the face.
Yeah, but when it comes to those sorts of movies, that's actually part of the experience that makes them so fun because it's, like, so absurd when it's hysterical. Yeah. But when it comes to like anime and stuff, I like seeing the original.
If
Japanese.
you ever rip those to a drive, send me a link.
I might be able to do that. I might just be able to do that. So we shall see. See. No, I can't guarantee it, obviously, for whatever purposes. But we'll talk. We will talk. Yeah.
I think I saw like there was like on I think it's a Daily Motion. I think those exist there.
Perhaps they do.
Half-hour shows. I think.
Yeah. Perhaps they do. Yeah.
I know so one of the Force 5 ones are up there. I think it's for Star Avengers, like for season 1. That one exists.
Yeah. And Grandizer. I remember it was Star Avengers. It was Grandizer. It was Dangar Ace, Guy King.
Yeah.
And
Space Cateers.
That's right. Yeah.
Can I tell you a funny story?
Yeah.
It was, and this is just me from memory, so I don't know how valid this is. This is just me piecing together from childhood to. So there was, I think it was Dangar Ace. So Dangar Ace is the one where there's a guy who doesn't know his father, and he pilots his ship, and then there's Mr. I forget the guy with the steel head.
Right, the mask. In Japan, he's called Captain Dan or whatever, but it's actually like the masked man or something.
He looks like Destro.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So there's an episode where because he's actually that kid's father somehow.
Yeah, that's right.
And so there's an episode where I guess the bad guys use an illusion to show them that their base is destroyed, and like the hero of the show, he can't see past the illusion.
Right.
But like they're able to somehow defeat the bad guys see past it via Destro. And then at the end, the kid asks him, like, how were you able to see through the illusion? And he said, it was my focus. And then he shows him his arm, and he had been cutting his arm to like maintain his focus. Right? And I saw this, I'm like 7. So like, I'm like, what the? And so,
jeez.
And so then years later, I was watching the movie The Abyss. And in that, like the commander for these Navy SEALs or whatever,
right,
he's losing his mind because he's got pressure sickness or whatever. And so there's a scene of him cutting his arm under the table. And like I'm watching this like in theater, I'm like, oh my god! Like, oh my god! I remember this exactly.
Dun, dun, dun.
And then I try to explain it to the girl I'm watching, and she clearly
thinks there's something wrong with you.
Well, that and like you back. I don't know about you, but you hid your nerd from everyone else. I did.
Yeah.
Like no one knew that I had comic books. No one wanted to, like. I left all that aside because you get beat up for that. So like, so she was just like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, oh my god, I used to watch this cartoon. And she's like, you lost me a cartoon.
It's like, we're not going out again.
Yeah.
Jeez. Oh my god.
Yeah, but that I don't know if that actually exists, but like that's my memory of that cartoon. That he was cutting his arm to see through the illusion. And I really want to just find that episode.
Oh, jeez. If you, I'm sure you could find it if you look online hard enough. I mean, it's got to be somewhere.
In the days of LimeWire, I did try to find it, but I just couldn't find the Dangard Ace ones. I found the opening sequence like 1,000 times, but
oh yeah. I don't know. I might have a line on that. I'll have to look. I'll have to see. But I might.
If there's any nerds out of the 100 people that watch the show,
out of the 99 people who watch, who make it through the first 10 minutes,
we just lost them at Dangard Ace.
Oh my god! Oh man, yeah. That well, again, that was what made our childhood fantastic, as far as I'm concerned. So
transforming robots, I'm all
absolutely. Yep.
I still see like my frivolous purchase, like when I do have expendable income, is going to be some of those robots.
I can't show you right now, but I actually have versions of the figures of the Star Avengers, Grandizer, Guy King.
The Guy King one's dope.
In the back there, like behind.
Are they the die-cast metal ones?
Yeah, die-cast metal and stuff with like just really high quality. Bandai made them really high quality. I bought them airmail from Japan or whatever years ago. But yeah, really, really nice. Yep.
So we're both nerds.
We are. Yeah. That's just it. That's it.
All right.
Yeah, a couple of Toronto nerds. There you go. Yeah. Right there. God, yeah. I did the whole thing. I remember running over to my friend's house early before school, watching Star Blazers or watching one of the Force 5 cartoons. While I'd already gotten ready early, he was getting ready and finishing his breakfast. We'd watch him, then we'd run across the street to school. So yeah, that was my mornings for a long time. Yep,
that's cool. Do you ever watch the Robotech ones?
I haven't watched Robotech in years, actually.
Because people died in that show.
Yeah.
It was like the third episode, like one of the fighter pilots bleeds to death in his plane.
Yeah.
And that was on normal TV.
Somehow that got past the censors or whatever.
Well, then they also blow up planet Earth too, right?
That's right, they do. Yeah. Well, I mean, when you see Star Blazers, in the first few episodes are about how the Gamelons are sending planet bombs to Earth, and it's just like they're hitting the Earth and blow up, and you see all this destruction and how everyone's like gone underground. It's like that's pretty intense stuff. I mean, it was sanitized, for U.S. viewing still, but that's still pretty intense stuff to watch when you're a kid. I mean, that's like, ugh,
So I didn't know up until like this holiday break, because my son's we saw Titanic, and now he's obsessed with watching real-time animations of boat sinking.
Okay.
That exists on like they do 3D. I think it's called Ocean Liner Designs, but it's like there's this. I think he's British or something, and they do full 3D renders of like this boat sinks in 20 minutes and here's how it happens sort of thing.
Okay.
So, but the Starblazer's boat...
It's like Mythbusters, but like sinking ships.
Yeah. But like the Starblazer's boat is a real boat.
Oh, the Yamato. Yeah, it was a Japanese World War II Japanese battleship. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't know that. I was watching. I was like, oh my God. I know what this is.
Oh, yeah. It was two of the biggest battleships during World War II. There was a pair of them, the Yamato and the Musashi, I think, were the other ones. And they were the two Japanese battleships, two of the largest ones in the entire war. The U.S. had comparable ones. I think it was like the Missouri was one, and I forget if not the New Jersey. There was a couple, but that the U.S. had that was comparable size in terms of, displacement and guns and all that jazz. But they were monsters. They're monster ships. Yeah, yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, yeah. So.
Yeah. So this is, I guess we should.
This is actually, we should go to audio maybe at some point on it. Should talk about that. We don't have to, but we suppose we could.
I mean, we can go kind of anywhere, but this is kind of our year-end show, so I guess, are there things like, is there a standout for you as far as like thing you heard this year? Should we start speakers or should we start amplifiers or just product in general? Or
I think we should start product in general. I think.
What's your the one thing that stood out?
Oh, geez, the one thing that stood out that I heard this year, I would have to say, I really liked the Linkwitz. The Linkwitz LX. Is it 520? Is it 521? Is that what I always screw that up? LX 521. Those open baffle speakers. Those things. They got a product of the year. But they sounded phenomenal. They sounded phenomenal to me. And for me, there's always been this thing.
Is that the Russian brand?
No. It's actually kind of a weird. It almost started off as like a DIY speaker design. Yeah. That it was created by a guy named Siegfried Linkwitz, who, if you're familiar with the name Linkwitz at all, he's really well known in audio circles because he was like he designed a type of crossover called the Linkwitz-Riley crossover, and it's used by like a lot of speaker designers. It's famous, and a lot of speaker theory in terms of crossover design and how to blend certain drivers together and stuff. It's all him. I mean, he was a genius. Passed away a few years ago. Super nice guy. I had a chance to meet him a couple of times at a couple of audio shows. But if you go to Linkwitz Lab, it's his website that he started, and it's just basically like, if you ever want to take like a dive off the deep end and go into like deep audio theory about speaker design and how speakers function, yeah. No, I mean, that's just like,
I probably should.
If you're ever high and you want to go into the, just get like, I mean, it's an amazing resource for anyone who's into speaker design or speaker theory or sound theory at all, or how people listen, or how we interpret sound in general. It's a great repository of information. Okay. But basically, he started off designing these certain speakers, and they years ago, and they were like, they just used stuff like PVC tubing, drivers you could buy like at any DIY shop, and a bunch of stuff. And he outlines everything of all these various projects. He started with one and moved up. And years ago, he developed this one called the Orion, which was a fully dipole speaker. So it means sound came out the front and the back. It was an open baffle, so not a traditional box. And it had like all active electronics, like active crossover, and it used separate amplifiers. I mean, it was an elaborate thing, but you could buy the plans for it. You could make it yourself if you wanted to go that far, or he contracted with a company to make turnkey ones for people who wanted the whole thing just like plug and play, who didn't want to mess with the DIY part of it. So the Orion was a huge, was a great sounding dipole speaker. The LX 521 is the next step that he created and developed before he passed away. and the company he had contracted with to build the turnkey ones, he let them. They took over, I guess the IP, I guess the intellectual property of it, and they are now selling. I still think they're still selling kits too, but they sell the full. They specialize in selling the full turnkey versions, really nicely finished with premium materials. Because for as super deep into how Siegfried was with, particularly was about sound reproduction and the science behind it. He doesn't really care so much about like beautiful finishes and stuff like that. The speakers he brought, I remember I was at Rocky Mountain Audio Fest, and he brought the prototypes of these LX 521s there, and it was basically like a flat pack kit made out of plywood and stuff with the drivers, bare bones, really rough looking. And he basically used just like super basic speaker cable, really sort of inexpensive stuff. And it sounded fantastic. I mean, the whole thing just sounded great. And I asked him, he was like, and he was just nicest guy, sort of, he had a bit of a German accent, and just sort of it's like coming up to your dad or something, or someone's grandfather, whatever.
Yeah.
You had a car to get on, and and everything. And I said, so these sound great, but do you think, what do you basically, I see you're using really basic wire in this thing, like super basic wire, like dollar store wire or whatever. So, what do you think about people who want to use like more expensive stuff, or do you think you need better wire for this? And he looks at me and he smiles and he goes, I only use what is necessary. That is all.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay. But fast forward to now, the guys who now produce the speakers, do a really nice job with the finishes and stuff and everything. And now they provide like the amplification included, because you used to be able to choose which amps you want. Now they provide you with, specifically designed ones and everything. It's basically a giant turnkey active speaker package. So, but for what you get for the price, and I think the price these days, if I remember correctly, is for the full turnkey package is about 25 grand, 25 to 28 grand, depending on. But I mean, you get the speakers, the amps, the electronic crossover, the whole 9 yards. You do not need subwoofers for these things. I mean, the things have subs basically built into them. They sounded absolutely. I mean, you could add if you want. I mean, you can, but for just like for music listening, you don't need them. I mean, they just sounded phenomenal, and they sound like natural. The closest thing to natural music, I don't want to say live performance, because live performance, that's not. But as close to natural music as I've ever heard come out of a speaker came out of these things.
Okay.
And they are just, they were really, really special. Really, really, really special.
Cool.
Yeah. But that's kind of my speaker highlight, I think, of the year. Mm-hmm. How about you? Like, let's go back and forth here.
Okay. So for me, Evo 150 from Cambridge Audio.
Yeah. I know you've mentioned that a few times. I think
it's if anyone I think it retails for like 34 US or about $5,000 Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
But like what you get like 150 watts, amplifier class D. It's got like a really high damping factor apparently that I found out after, which is really good for amplifiers. And then streaming. So like the stream DAC Magic and the Stream Magic is built into it. I can access internet radio, Spotify, Tidal if I ever wanted to, XLR inputs, pre-outs, subwoofer output. I can switch the side panels. It's so easy. Like with this thing. Oh, and it has home theater bypass that's defeatable, and I can defeat the inputs too. So if I plug it into my receiver, it's super easy to use. I know, like, everyone buys into separates and this and that. Oh, it has tone controls too.
Yeah, you gotta have that. Man.
And it's small. It sounds great. It kicks the crap out of almost everything else I had in house so far. And it made reviewing everything easier because it was
It's a nice looking unit. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a really nice looking unit.
And if you want to spend more, they have that DeLorean version that's all stainless steel.
Oh, that's right.
It looks awesome.
Yeah,
it has VU meters on the update. So like,
there you go. So you can have
honestly, like
you can have all your flash and along with your sound. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just the easiest, like, future forward component. Like the firm, you know how like a firmware update sometimes bricks your device. The firmware update just made it better.
Oh man!
And it was an automatic update. It just happened one day, and I was like, "Oh, I got VU meters now. This is incredible."
Oh, nice. Very nice.
I cringe every time I have to disconnect it, you know. And I asked them for more time. Like I finally gave back a whole bunch of like the amplifiers that I borrowed for reviews, and I had a long-term loaner. I just asked them, "Can I please hang on to this one for longer? I can't afford to buy this one.
Please.
But yeah, can I please just have it for a bit longer? It's going to be in everything, so it just makes so much sense for if you want like an all-in-one end game sort of component. This is the one, and it's going to be really, really hard to beat it.
So. It looks like a nice package altogether. I mean, you know, from the looks to and the performance too, it looks like a nice combination. Yeah.
I know Name has a few, but they're either the same price or astronomically more.
Yeah, they tend to be a little on the pricier end, don't they? Yeah.
But they look cool, so
yeah,
I'd be curious to get one of those in to see what that sounds like. But yeah.
I'm trying to think. Amplifier wise, I guess I have to say that that Michi X5 integrated, that thing. That thing was insane. I mean, the thing could drive anything. I mean, you know, you had like how much freaking power did that thing have? That had like
it's like 350, isn't it? Or?
Something like that. Yeah, it was 350 into 8 ohms. It would do 600 into 4, and it just a beastly thing. And the phono stage in it was great. Really nice quality phono stage, which used to be really hard to find, hard to get a good one in an integrated or receiver. It's getting a little better these days, but I mean, it measured better than like some separate phono preamps I've had. It's really nice quality. The digital section was great, and the thing looked. I loved the way it looked. I mean, the remote was gorgeous. It felt really good in your hands, and I mean, it was like you could be one and done, and that would be you could pass it on to your kids if you wanted to. I mean, it's that sort of thing, you know.
I've been trying really hard to get one of those sent in. I'm still trying. I'm just because it's like I like Rotel's stuff. I just don't like the way they look. Rotel the Michi stuff is essentially it's just a different chassis that looks awesome.
Well, it's a lot more than just a different chassis. I mean, the guts of them are like definitely, you know, next level. But Rotel's always had really good stuff. Their quality's always been great. But the design of them, if I'm being honest, it looks like, you know, your grandfather's hi-fi set. You know, I mean, they haven't.
It looks moved. Like American Psycho era products. Like it just.
Yeah.
Like when I saw their 1582 power amplifier in pictures, it looks awesome. And then you get it, and then it looks like, ooh, this looks old. Like it doesn't make sense.
It's the design is dated. There's no question.
But then they did the Michi. I'm like, oh, this is incredible looking. And I get it. Like they probably make so many, and then they have to sell them off before they redo. But then they made the diamond version,
right?
And I was. What is this?
They're due for like an aesthetic upgrade. There's no question.
They should just move the Michi look over and just make it silver, and then you're done.
That you know, problem solved. Yeah. Problem solved.
The dies are already there. Just put another substrate in.
Yeah. No, that
say it like
totally makes
really
sense to me. That totally
I say it
makes
like
sense
it's
to me.
really simple. I have zero idea about manufacturing.
This will cost us several $1 million. It's like, yeah.
Well, just coming from like the graphic design production background, it's like, well, the dies are made, so can't you just?
That's right. Yeah. Well, you're a little different when you're dealing with actual physical metal and stuff.
Different
Yeah,
substrates. Yeah,
yeah,
so
different.
Probably
different.
so much I have no idea about, but.
But no, I mean, I agree with you. The Rotel stuff, they definitely needs a bit of sprucing up design wise. There's no question about it.
Especially because that LED or display behind the Michi looks to be the same as the Rotel one.
I think it is in some respects. Yeah, yeah. I don't know if it's exactly the same. I would doubt it because it's just, you know, the funny. Excuse me.
Yeah, go for it.
The funny thing about not funny. It's the interesting thing about Rotels. It's still a family-owned company.
Yeah,
it's still like owned by the I guess the original Japanese family or starting group that had it originally. So it's not. I mean, it's here in the States. It's distributed by like I think the Macintosh Group or whatever. But
yeah,
it's still privately owned or whatever, which is neat. So
are they part of Bose now too?
No, it's a weird thing. It's like they're distributed by the Macintosh Group. They're not owned by them. So Bose doesn't own them. I guess Bose will distribute them now. I guess.
Okay.
But and I don't know if that's gonna if that's gonna change at all or the relationship and stuff. But they don't own them per se. So
okay.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting because it's. I mean, I still have a Rotel phono preamp from I don't know, was it the 80s that I still use when we test phono cartridges because it's that good. I mean, it's flat. The response is flat as a pancake, and it's noiseless, and the distortion is like super low. It's great for testing, and it sounds good, but it's bulletproof. And Rotel's always been that way. But I just think. You're right. I think, and maybe I don't know whether since they're a privately owned company, I don't know. I just feel like they could and should do more, but they've always kind of been under the radar. I guess at least for me. I mean, it's kind of like I almost
for a long time I only saw them because like I was into Bowers and Wilkins speakers when I was in my 20s. And at that time, they were always paired with Rotel products, so I just associated them as being high quality.
Right, because Bowers did for a time, I think, distributed them.
Yeah.
And when Bowers, I think, was owned by the I don't know the Silicon Valley Bros or whatever before Macintosh, not Macintosh. Who owns Sound United took them over. So yeah, Rotel was being distributed by them. It's one of those things where it's kind of like they've never been flashy. They've always kind of been under the radar, but they've always made great quality stuff. But yeah, I agree with you. I think, they're, and they still make great quality stuff, but they are due for, a nice visual punching up because they need it. I think they really need it in order to help stand out these days because there's so much stuff out there, so they need.
It looks like it's industrial design by an engineer versus a designer. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
and they just need to marry it with something else, like that 5092 amplifier. I got to do it at the beginning of the year, and it's incredible.
Oh yeah,
it's a wonderful piece. It just looks the way it does, so the evil beats it, right?
and you know what? In a dark room, no one's going to care. But if you want to actually, when you go and buy the thing,
you want it on your shelf.
You want it on your shelf, and you want to you see it, and you want to interact with it. It's like it's got to, it's got to be compelling enough on those levels. And
like the days of design for utility for I think electronics. That's kind of dead. Like if you want utility, even like studio monitors look amazing. Barefoot Sound makes some really great ones, and they just look great too. PMC makes really great utilitarian studio monitors. If you want that, then that's what you get. But
right.
consumer audio, it still has to look great. Like I have 3 really good ones behind me there.
Yeah, no, the days of like settle. There's so much stuff out there. As there was a time where it's like a no frills product. It just was complete bang for the buck.
Yeah,
and nothing else. Great. No one needs to settle for that anymore.
No.
I mean, there are people out there who still like live for that stuff, and there's always a market for it. There always will be.
Yeah.
But you don't. If you take your audio a little more seriously and you're into the hobby more seriously, it's kind of like you don't need to settle for that, and who wants to?
Yeah.
So.
All right, so we covered your amplifier, your speaker. I guess your speaker was the first one.
Right,
amplifier.
right.
Was there anything else? Probably a Stax headphone for sure.
Yeah. Those 9000s, the X9000s. Yeah, those were the X9000s, and like I think I've mentioned this before. And on the entry level ones, I think it's the SRX1. Those. Is it SRX1 or SRX1000? I forget now. But both ends of the spectrum there. You got the entry level and the top end. Really good. Just really amazing for different reasons. Obviously, the 9000s are like, it's like, it doesn't get any better than that. I mean, you listen to them and it's like, it's effortless. It's just like amazing sounding. But they're $6,000 for the pair, and you have to spend another $8,000 for an amp, ish. So it's like, it's not it's not for everybody.
But I think like once you get over like $2,000 for a headphone, you enter special territory.
You do, yeah. You're a certain level of commitment that you've passed into. Yeah. So and there's surprisingly a lot of people
are willing to do it.
And they get younger. Every time I go to a headphone show, it's like there are younger and younger people who will not bat an eye at dropping like some major coin over personal audio gear, and it's just
I wonder wow. I wonder if it's just people with roommates, like because buying I mean I live in Toronto, so right. Or just outside of Toronto, and buying a home is impossible now.
Oh yeah.
Like good luck. Mm-hmm. So if I was younger and I wasn't making $90,000 to be able to afford your rent, that you'd probably have a roommate, right? And then your hi-fi system would be over your ears at that point.
Pretty much, and yes, let's face it. Unless no one's going to get into like stuff like this until they have space for it. Yeah. And if you're younger, obviously you don't have space yet, or you haven't gotten to that point, and so you start off with personal audio, and unfortunately, unless economically, unless stuff changes for people and things become more affordable, or people's wages go up or whatever, that sort of stuff. Yeah, those folks that are in that personal audio space aren't going to be able to move up into having their own place, their own apartment, their own house, which will give them space for something like this. Yeah. And so,
but then also. Like once you have a really good pair of headphones, it's hard to make a comparable audio system that compares. Like my Sennheiser's, the HD 650s that I got, they're the best sounding thing that I have. Getting a pair of speakers that can do what those do without any
compromises.
Any compromises or anything like that. It's really difficult.
Yeah.
And the outlay for just those, I think they're like $600. And I can either use a headphone amplifier or I don't have to. And if you're not nitpicking, you can't tell the difference. So
truth bomb, folks. Truth bomb.
Sorry, I can plug them into my MacBook Pro and enjoy them just as much. There is a subtle difference stepping up into like the Dark Magic 200M or the TAC that I have, but it's not massive.
No, unless you're dealing with,
you have to invest in more expensive headphones to
unless you're dealing with like really hard to drive headphones or very particularly designed headphones. No, you're not going to get a huge difference. You're not.
So good luck trying to beat a good pair of headphones, a decent pair of headphones with a hi-fi system.
Right. But everyone gets to the point in their life where it's kind of like, headphone is like, for one, you want to get to a point you probably will get to a point in your life where it's like, well, there's more than one person that's going to want to listen. Or, if it's part of an AV system,
too. Like when you feel it in your chest, it's like, oh, that's a different.
It is. It's you turning up a really nicely designed hi-fi system and like just feeling that impact at a really loud volume. Is one thing. Turning your headphones up to a really loud volume will make you deaf. Yes. So I mean, there's that. It's a different experience, and I think, I started off with headphones. I started off in personal audio, and then moved up from there. And I think that's more or less the trajectory that most people go. I mean, just because you start with what you can afford, and most people start here because they can afford it, and then as they move up, they're able to afford other stuff and for a bigger space. And
but once you hit like 10 grand for your headphone system,
well,
I think you're well past.
I think you are. I mean, you're like you're like us basically. You're in deep, and and that's that you're done. But yeah, and so I think I'm not worried so much when I hear people. There's a lot of old guys that are like, oh, hi-fi's dying. Where everyone's dying out in hi-fi, it's going to go. The industry's not going to last because everyone's aging out of it and die. I don't buy that. I mean, I think
just old people getting old. You're going to die. But they're going to still make the products.
They're still going to make the product, and people who are listening to these things will eventually come in and replace you, as it always has happened. The only problem is it may not be happening quite as quickly as you like because people can't afford, like you said, you can't afford to buy a place right now. Yeah. So where are you going to put your hi-fi gear if you can't afford to buy a place? You can't have that. You can't have that subwoofer in an apartment without having your upstairs or downstairs neighbor like on the floor.
You can.
You can if you don't care.
I have two connected right now. It's amazing. So I did something. So see these. These are they're not connected to anything right now. They're just for display. Right. I have them in my living room. Boucard sent these and the sub 10. Have you seen it? It's like they're slim, flat 10-inch sub. Yeah. So I have that connected to the Evo's sub output, but then the Marantz receiver has the Martin Logan sub connected to it, the Dynamo 10. So when I watch movies, I have front pre-outed to the Evo 150, and I have it slated as full range because whenever the speakers are playing, the sub is doing the low end for just the front speakers, which makes them full range essentially. Right. And then every time a subwoofer is engaged for a movie, the dynamo kicks in. It's incredible.
Fun times at Taps's place. Oh my god!
And I still have another subwoofer output on the Marantz, so I'm wondering if I should just use, because I have the SVS wireless.
Before you know it, when you get you set up with a Trinalvin waveforming, you'll have 4 subs.
Well, I have my spare. I'm looking at my spare BW610 that's just sitting there. I'm just thinking, should I just connect that just to have, like, I guess, an ambient sub for it?
It's like a little say, I'm here. That's about it. Whereas everyone else is going.
Yeah. So I could do that.
You could.
But, yeah. If I wanted everyone in this condo to hate my guts, but
that's what makes this hobby fun. Is the experimentation. Oh my god. Oh, but yeah, no. So anyway, back out of the rabbit hole. I'm trying to think what. The headphones. The Stax for sure, and the entry level ones. Like for $1,000. You can't go wrong with those things. They sound fantastic, and it gives you a taste of what electrostatics can do. That without putting you in the poorhouse. Okay. Relatively speaking.
So then, what was the best thing this year? Just not like product, but I imagine it was because you travel a lot. Was there Japan was the highlight?
Japan was the highlight. I mean, Italy, that was great. I'd been there the previous year, so I kind of knew what to expect. And I mean, that obviously, Italian as I am, or whatever, or my family background is, there's always has like a tug to my heartstrings or whatever. I guess, getting philosophical about it. But the audio gear that the Italians make is great. But all Unison Research, Audioflight, Gold Note, and the speaker companies, Alare and all Opera. It just fantastic stuff. And it was a great experience. But Japan, having never been there before, and getting a chance to I'm sorry you're jealous.
No, I have no right to be jealous here. So.
Yeah, you have more gear than I do right now, probably. So
I know. I'm looking at your background. That looks, your driver count alone looks to me in the 50s. Like,
there is some firepower in here at the moment. Yeah, for sure. Which I will actually mention in a few minutes. Yeah, that was just, I knew what to expect in Italy, and I knew that what those folks, what they put into making equipment and what goes into it, and the desire, the drive, the passion, all that stuff. I know that, and you can feel it, and it's legit, and that's one of the reasons why that stuff is so appealing. And you think about it these days, and it's kind of like, if I'm going to spend this amount of money on this piece of gear, yes, I want it to sound great, but it's a whole other thing when you realize what's behind it, the people behind it, and what goes into it, and you see where for all intents and purposes, where your money's going. It's like, and who it's supporting, and it's like, that's part of it. And it's like, that makes me want to spend money with them versus, something that may be cool that I don't know anything about, or that I get at a big box store or whatever. Yeah. Right. Japan was, surprisingly, the same experience but just from a different perspective. I mean, Stax. Yes, they were craftsmen, and all that passion and drive and attention to detail to build really amazing products with these three companies was there in spades. Different approach, slightly different philosophies and stuff, but man, it's like you came away thinking like, man, if I owned one of these things, a piece of equipment any one of these people makes, I would be very proud to own it. I mean, that sense of pride there, that's like, I own a pair of Stax headphones, which actually I do. Or I own a TAD amp or speaker, or I own a piece of TAD gear or whatever. I mean, it was great. It really, it spoke to me on a different level. And I mean, not to get all mushy and philosophical about it, but it's like, there's the music, there's the gear, and then there's what's behind the gear. And when you kind of get a feeling of that, and you meet the people and stuff, it's like it kind of completes the picture for me anyway. Okay. It adds another dimension to this whole thing, that it's like, it feels good. It just feels good that you support these people and get to know them and appreciate what the craftsmanship and what's involved in what they make. Okay. So that
makes sense.
But the Japan thing was, it was a great trip and a highlight, and the highlight, I think, of my year, if that makes sense.
Total sense.
Yeah. So, but I don't know how much more I can say about it, but
that's perfect.
But it's like it was wild. It was definitely wild, and I hope someday I can go back, because I mean, I made a lot of good friends.
I have to go back there.
Oh yeah. I made great friends and got to experience, high five from a bit more of the Japanese perspective, and it was just like, it's great. And
seeing as that we're both giant nerds, I feel like us going to Japan would be chaos.
You hear that, Japanese company? Like, Taps and I will tag team Japan.
Every anime place, arcade,
oh god,
hi-fi store.
Oh man, they'll have to.
And then sake and whiskey place will be hit up.
Oh my god, my wife will have to send the Marines to come and get us, I think, or something. He'd never come back. Oh my god,
it'd be like the Hangover Japan edition, essentially.
Oh my god. Oh man. Yeah. But no, that was and you got to go, you went to Ireland.
Oh yeah,
this year,
yeah.
right?
So I think I guess no secret. So I got divorced or separated at the beginning of the year. And then a month later I got to go to Ireland to for the Sennheiser factory tour. So in my heart, and then someone told me that when you go to Ireland, hey man, Iceland is like 2 hours away. So just book a flight and go to Iceland after. And so I did that. And
that's right. Yeah.
It was my first proper solo trip as an adult.
Really?
I didn't really have the travel bug when I was younger. I wanted to be a DJ and a painter, and I just went clubbing all the time and had no money. Right. And so then,
you didn't do that like what a lot of kids back then did, was like backpack across Europe or any of that other stuff.
I had no desire. I didn't really. I wasn't overly worldly back then. I was in a silo of I wanted to be a DJ, I wanted to be a painter, and but I should have just gone traveling. But
it gets to us at different times in our lives. I don't know that there's like a right or wrong. It's just it hits us when it hits us. But no, it's all right.
So doing Iceland for 4 days solo was incredible. But has nothing to do with audio.
Those pictures you took were gorgeous, and some of those fjords
I shot everything
stuff.
I shot everything with my RX 105, tiny point and shoot camera. I still use it. It got damaged there, so I had to get it repaired, and then I have it now again, and I just bring it everywhere. I just have it on the photo mode, and it's incredible. But I think the 2 New York trips were maybe the more enlightening, just because. Well, I think all 3 of them, in that I'm pretty much operating a silo here. Aside from my monthly or weekly conversations with you about audio, no one I know does this. No one I know is into this hobby at all. They like seeing the speakers come in, but they have no idea, or to the extent that you guys do. So being surrounded by not just audiophiles, but at the Sennheiser one, there's a couple of influencers there, and just being able to talk to like-minded folks. And then also having at the Sennheiser one, Critical was there from I think Singapore, and he's all in on headphones, and he told me. And so just listening to them talk and just not having to chime in because I didn't know what they were talking about, or there were certain specifics they were speaking of, and I was like, I can ask you. And then Jude from CanGem was there,
right,
and just asking them more specific questions about headphones in general. And then the 2 New York trips, I just like that city a lot, and then being around again journalists and other people, and I finally got to talk to Doug Schneider.
That's right.
Yeah, and then he's he just really open with information.
Yeah, he's a great source of information. Yeah, he really is. He's been doing this plan almost as long as I think they opened up a year after Secrets did. So he's been around for a while doing this.
Yeah. So just being able to be around like-minded folks is more interesting than not. So. Yeah, that's kind of my highlight. So the more of this that I get to do, the better it is. So.
Well, we're going to get you to do some more then.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
I'm trying to think what else was really cool this year, product-wise or whatever. That there's a couple of things I got in that I haven't had a chance to write the formal reviews on yet, but that I need to, or they're on my list to do. One of them is this. This little thing, this FiO M23.
Oh,
get this thing started. This little digital audio player. As a kid who went through several Walkmans, Sony, Toshiba, all these other things, and kind of where I got my start in hi-fi or whatever. Having one of these things, this is the first real sort of. I've played around with the Astel and Kearns and stuff, and those are really the high end. But this, I think, is like maybe $500, I think.
Yeah.
And just for what it does, the capacity, it's got like the quality of the DACs and everything, balanced and regular connection and stuff. It's a really sweet player, and I mean, it sounds fantastic, and it's like solid but not too huge, and I think it's a great all around unit. And I need to get the review done on this thing, but I've been enjoying it tremendously. It's traveled around a lot.
I've been dragging my heels on them too. So I have two. I have this one. It's the Activo from Aston & Kern. So it's their budget one, and it's pretty awesome. But I haven't really listened to that this much. I have the other one. It's in a bag somewhere. Sorry, I don't know where it is. It's their smallest one. Their A Norma S30.
Oh yeah.
35. So it's their tiny. It's awesome. And my intention of it was that was gonna be my running player. So you don't have to take your phone out. You can just have your iWatch on, and then this, and then because you can use it wirelessly, or you can use it. So then I rolled my ankle in the summer.
Oh shit!
And so then there was a few weeks off. Then I threw my back out after, and then it got now it's wintertime. So I should just do it, but it's weird in that from an audio, I guess an audio perspective, I try to do my research beforehand and see what maybe other people might comment on that might be prevalent to me, or things I'm not thinking about. But I find a lot with these players that unless you have the highest end headphone, you may not hear the difference.
Well, I mean, that's very true. I mean, they've gotten so good, and I mean, digital has gotten to the point where it's so good. You really have to hear a difference. They really have to. They have to muck around with the analog end of it. So either you're dealing with tubes to hear a difference, or they've done some serious.
They've tuned it.
Tuned it in a way to give it a particular signature. But all things being equal, you're not going to hear a ton of difference. I mean, it's going to come down to the quality of the amplification and how well it drives your headphones.
And it's really the user interface. I'm an iPhone guy, and I had iPods back in the day. And so that is the system that I'm used to, and all of these other ones are Android.
Android based, yeah, they're all Android based. Yeah.
I'm lost every single time. I turn it on, and nothing makes sense, and the haptic feedback isn't, or the user interface feedback isn't what I'm used to. So every time I use one, I'm just ugh, I don't.
You have to be I think you have to be, if you use the Google phone or an Android phone or whatever. I think it'd be a different story. But
I'm never going to.
No. If you're used to iPhones and same, we went from BlackBerry to iPhones, so it's kind of it takes a while for especially with the FiO as well. It took a while to kind of get used to the apps and stuff and how Android works, whatever. But once you get over that, and if you kind of can separate for the fact that it's not an actual phone, so it doesn't need to do certain things that you would expect a phone to do.
Well, it's at the speed too. Sometimes I feel like it's not as snappy, which sounds stupid or sounds like a little spoiled. But once you're used to how fast your iPhone 15 is,
right,
and then you have you hit a button and you have to wait,
right,
and then it just feels weird.
Right.
And so that takes me a while to get used to, but having that, and then having the ability to also, I guess, use it as a DAC from your computer, that part's really cool.
It is really cool, yeah. And I also found that a lot of these things, since they're Android based or whatever, you can download a bunch of Android apps and stuff. And I mean, you could conceivably watch video on this thing, which really? With the screen. And if you download, say, VLC player or whatever, and you have a video file in the on the SD card or in the little the micro SD card or whatever, you could watch it on there. I mean, conceivably you can. I need to confirm that, but it looks like it should. So
I haven't done that yet, so I doubt that I will.
I've
had these for too long to not put reviews out. So.
Well, I mean, I think it depends. I think it depends on the player, but I think for this one, it might just very well do it. So I have to double check. Couple other things. Speaking of headphones, is I can't really bring it over here, but I got this great little headphone amplifier from. Actually, you might be able to see it if I could turn it that way a little bit. This little guy. Whoop. That's the Geshelli stuff. I need to do that too, which is great also. But this guy over here, this Sparkos Gemini tube headphone amp with my little Gundams on it. That thing, it got sent to me. It's a killer little headphone amp. I mean, it's very bare bones looking, and it's got tube output stage and stuff, but it sounds wonderful. And I mean, it'll drive just about anything I throw at it, and it's not ridiculously expensive either. I forget the price of it, but it's not crazy. It just it sounds really good, and it just gives it's you get that little bit of that tube sound in it, but it's not ridiculous, and it just has a great amount of just like grunt in the low end, and it just sounds really, really good. So okay. Yeah, Sparkos Labs, they make like discrete op amps and a bunch of other little electronic parts, and then they got into for kind of the DIY community, but then they got into making headphone amps, and this was I met Andrew Sparks who runs it, and super nice guy, really down to earth, and he sent that to me, and it's like, shit, this thing sounds awesome. I mean, it sounds great. So yeah, that I need to finish it right up on that, because it's really, really good, and he's been very patient with me, and I need to catch up with him on that. I'm trying to think what else.
How about an aside? How about was there a favorite movie or show from this year off the top of your head?
Favorite movie or show?
Show for me was Shogun.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that because I can't think of anything. But yeah, now that you mentioned it, yeah, Shogun was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really, really good. Funny, on a Japanese theme, there was a Netflix animated miniseries called Blue-Eyed Samurai, which got a lot of attention and stuff, and visually, it was really cool. I mean, the artistic style and everything was fantastic. Story-wise, I had some problems with it, but it was, I mean, visually it was just stunning, and it's definitely worth watching. Trying to see what other what movies did I see this year? Obviously, something
break up my phone. I kind of forget.
I'm trying to think what I saw this year that what Godzilla -1.
Oh yeah, okay, that's gonna win.
Godzilla -1, yeah, Godzilla -1. We're on a Japanese kick apparently, because it's just like the Japanese are like dominating
like
this year.
The same things.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think of what else came out. Longlegs sucked. The Alien movie sucked. I didn't watch Inside Out 2. Oh, The Substance, that one.
Okay, didn't see that.
Oh my god, it's Demi Moore and I don't know the other actress's name, but it's essentially it's about like an actress who's I think she's like a fitness, like a 20-minute workout lady, and she's getting old, and they want to replace her, and so she gets contacted by this company that says, "Hey, you take this, and you will be a new, better you." Essentially, you take this drug, and then it basically makes a younger version of you.
Okay, this sounds like an old Star Trek episode.
It's okay. It's shot beautifully. The soundtrack is awesome. Even the typography for the company is amazing.
Wow.
It's awesome, and it just goes. If you should watch it, it's awesome.
Is it streaming right now, or is it?
It should be. I mean,
okay. The Substance.
Yeah, The Substance.
Okay.
I love it, and it just goes crazy at the end. So like, as an anime fan, you probably love the way this goes.
Okay.
But it's so well done. Yeah, The Substance.
Oh, okay, that sounds up my alley. Okay.
Yeah, so that's number one for me, and then -1. I don't rank any of the Dune movies. I can't watch them.
The what? The Dune? Oh, Dune? No, my son got me both the Blu-rays, and I haven't watched them yet, and it's kind of like.
Do you feel bad?
I do feel bad, but I've seen enough. I'm going to watch them because they make great home theater demo material, but that's the only reason I'm going to watch them. The story is never, Frank Herbert has never appealed to me. The story has never appealed to me, so whatever.
Deadpool versus Wolverine. I mean, it wasn't great, but it's just.
I saw it on the plane coming back from somewhere, and
it kind of is what it is, I guess.
Yeah.
We try to see if there's anything else on
I saw Beetlejuice 2. I wasn't crazy about that. I was like, the original was better.
Oh, was this year?
What?
Late Night with the Devil.
Don't know that one.
Okay. So I saw it this year. So at the beginning of this year, once I got separated, I moved into a new place. Work was slow, so I just watched a bunch of stuff. I saw a bunch of old Korean movies as well. But Late Night with the Devil, it's like a 70s talk show style. Like everything's shot that way. And then they do like an interview with someone who's maybe in contact with the other side, I guess.
Okay. Huh.
And it's massively creepy. It's so well done.
Oh, jeez.
It's equal amounts campy and great at the same time. So yeah, watch that. Late Night with the Devil, The Substance.
Okay.
You're done for a while. It's some great movies.
Okay. I know my oldest said he went to go see Nosferatu recently, and I think he really liked it, but I mean, I'm not sure. I'm scrolling my phone just to see if there's anything that I missed. Oh, one thing. Since we're both like cartoon geeks or whatever, I mean, do you used to watch like some of those classic cartoons, like the old classic Scooby Doo's, the old classic. Do you remember Johnny Quest?
I never saw it.
Just got this as a Christmas gift. The original Johnny Quest on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
I haven't seen these in, I don't know, forever. And when I remember seeing them on Saturday morning, it was like they always had the same half dozen of them that they would play over and over again. So it's kind of like, they looked really cool, but you kind of got tired of them pretty quick.
Was it like Rocket Robin Hood, where it was the same show over and over again?
Kind of, yeah. But there's 26 episodes, and they have all of them on here. So it only ran for one season with 26 episodes. And they're great. It's like classic, golden age comic style illustrations for animation. And, the stories are kind of what they are. And, there's the stereotypical tropes of the time and stuff, but it's really slick, really good looking. And just for a classic cartoon, it's like, damn, I was just jazzed to see these because it's like it brought back so many memories, and I was so excited to see stuff that I'd never seen, episodes I'd never seen before.
Yeah.
So yeah, that I was really jazzed about that. So that's very cool.
I feel like we could do a whole nerd episode.
We could just totally do a complete nerd session and like go on.
I guess in a way that like audiophiles are. Sorry, guys, we're all nerds anyway because you're nerding about like gear.
Oh,
so.
The audiophiles are complete nerds. I mean, it's just like they're as little slices of humanity. They're audiophiles are very strange people, and we just sort of all fit together. There's just different ranges of strangeness. So yeah.
So with movies, have you watched any of the Korean movies of?
No, I haven't, because and like I said, my oldest is really into this stuff, and he tells me about them, and it's like some of them are like are
the
really
Wailing.
kind of the
Wailing.
that's one of them.
I saw The Devil is the other one. That one's a little crazy.
Yeah.
The Wailing's really good. I gotta break up my phone again. But I just ended up watching a bunch of these. I think I was listening to a podcast where, and they were just mentioning like, here you have to see this one, like Parasite. So that's the most
Parasite was
one.
another one Peter told me about. Yeah, Parasite.
Old Boy. I don't know if that one holds up as much. The Handmaiden. The Wailing's my favorite one. And then Train to Busan. That's like the zombie one on a train. But it's done really well.
Okay.
I saw The Devil's Crazy. What was the other one I saw? There was another one. Past Lives is interesting. That's newer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. But yeah, if I had to recommend one, I would say The Wailing. I Saw the Devil, and then Old Boy is a refresher. But you've probably seen that one, right?
No, I haven't seen any of these things. I get look, my son
so
Peter keeps telling me.
There's a U.S. remake of Old Boy. Don't watch that one. Watch the Japanese one or the Korean one. Sorry.
Good to know. Good to know.
It's just wild. Like
my oldest keeps telling me. My oldest keeps telling me about them, and then because he's really into this sort of stuff, and I'm like, okay, I'll I write them down, but I just never seem to get time to catch any of them. So
it's a great way to evaluate something for. Especially if it's like what I found is they're not great audio wise, because just budgets wise they're not
right. They're not super high end.
But
budget.
like the dialogue wise, and then like if you wanted to gauge how immersive something is with nothing, like I had the Sennheiser Ambio Plus, and I had the Wailing playing, and there's not a lot going on, and it's not mixed well. But like immersive wise, and just turning it all the way up was interesting to watch.
Oh wow!
So,
all right, very good.
Yeah,
very good.
They're great movies. But what I find, maybe if I had to sell you on them, is it's like it's its own genre, but it feels like they've just amalgamated so many other genres from North American cinema or like worldwide cinema, and they kind of merged it all together. So you kind of see different bits and pieces.
So it's its own. So that it's because these are all Korean movies, basically, right? Yeah. So it's their own. It's their own sort of.
It has a different feel and different flavor,
right?
Yeah.
Right. All right.
And all really interesting. So.
Okay. All right. Well, I may just go ahead and start with The Wailing since that's the one you recommend. Yeah.
Well, start with Substance first, and then it's just
Substance. Yeah.
Substance. I Saw the Devil, then The Wailing, and just like there's 3 movies. Should that be your homework? Just watch one of them.
My homework. It's right. For our next episode, we'll do a pop quiz.
Yeah.
We can. I don't know what the hell. Why not?
I mean, the Substance audio wise is incredible.
Yeah.
So like, put it on your best system and just like let that go.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna look that one up and give it a run. So we'll do the Substance for next week. Absolutely.
Cool. But you got to run. So
yeah, I do actually. I need to get going. So
until next time, I guess.
Yeah, until next time, and Happy New Year to you. And to, all 99 of our watchers out there.
I wonder if we lost everyone right at the beginning.
We may have. I don't know. It could be, but Happy New Year to everybody as well, and may you have a very enjoyable and safe New Year, and have a great time responsibly.
Cool.